It didn't have to be Colton. It could have been anybody that I was like, hey, do you want to chill? Anybody that could have came to my house, that could have happened to them.
Why?
What do you mean, why? Because people are nasty. People do mean things.
Not just once, not twice, but 3 times. Do you understand what you did? Do you understand? Just let us know that you understand and you apologize.
Behind the tearful apologies and heartfelt pleas lies a shocking truth. Some women commit unthinkable crimes. From Aylin Alderette's ruthless acts of violence to Elsa Segura's deadly betrayals, these cases reveal the darkest side of human nature. These deadliest female killers give dramatic reactions to the sentences that seal their fates. Let's begin.
Your Honor, the defendant, she actually could have been a hero. She could have been a hero. She could have warned Monique.
On December 31st, 2019, a promising young realtor named Monique Baugh left her home to meet a potential client. She was hardworking, caring, and a loving mother of 2 little girls. However, what began as an ordinary appointment quickly spiraled into a horrifying ordeal that would devastate her family. Monique had been contacted several times by a woman named Elsa Segura, who claimed to be interested in buying a home. What Monique didn't know was that Elsa was setting a deadly trap. When Monique arrived at the vacant property, 2 men, Cedric Berry and Barry Davis, kidnapped her. They tied her up with duct tape and forced her into a moving truck. The nightmare didn't end there. The kidnappers drove to Monique's home in Minneapolis. Using her keys, one of them broke in and shot Monique's boyfriend multiple times in front of their 2 little girls, ages 3 and 1. Despite his serious injuries, he survived and managed to call for help, but Monique was still in danger.
Back in 2019, well, she never showed up to that house. 2 of her boyfriend's friends did, Cedric Berry and Barry Davis. Court documents say they put her into a U-Haul.
About an hour later, Monique was taken to an alley in Minneapolis. There, she was shot 3 times and left alone in the cold. The news of her death devastated her family and friends. She was a beloved mother and a rising star in real estate. The crime was cruel, senseless, and heartbreaking. The investigation quickly uncovered the truth. Elsa Segura had lured Monique into the trap using a burner phone, which was bought by her co-defendant Cedric Berry. The police charged 5 people, including Elsa. Cedric Berry and Barry Davis were found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Another accomplice, Shantae Berry, received probation for helping them. Elsa Segura's case went to trial, but in 2022 her conviction was overturned by the Minnesota Supreme Court, leading to a retrial. Rather than face another trial, Elsa chose to plead guilty. On this day, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison for her role in the crime. The judge agreed to a harsher sentence due to the cruelty of the murder and the involvement of multiple people. However, Elsa showed no guilt for her act.
This time asking Judge Peter Cahill to send Elsa Segura to prison for the rest of her life without the possibility of parole. It was Segura who made the phone calls luring Baugh, a local real estate agent.
This case is a painful reminder of how greed and betrayal can lead to tragedy. Monique's family will never get her back, but her memory lives on in the hearts of her loved ones and her 2 daughters. Elsa Segura's sentence holds her accountable, but nothing can erase the pain Monique's family feels.
It's sad that she lost her life for somebody else's decisions in life.
Through it all, the community stands with the Baugh family, hoping they find some peace and justice in the wake of their unimaginable loss. Elsa's story shows how someone she trusted led her into a deadly trap. But as the next case shows, some crimes go beyond recklessness into the realm of calculated violence.
She just a good person, and we miss her.
On August 12, 2016, a heartbreaking crime shook the small community of Afton, Tennessee. The body of 21-year-old Jessie Nicole Morrison was discovered on the side of the road. She had been brutally attacked, and the cause of her death was determined to be blunt force trauma. The tragedy was even greater because Jessie was 4 months pregnant at the time. The investigation started when Gary Ely, who was Jessie's fiancé at the time, lived with her and her 2 sons at the Cross Anchor Trailer Park. On the day of the murder, August 12, 2016, he was at work from 6:30 a.m. until 7:10 p.m., providing a concrete alibi. Additionally, he saw Jessie during his lunch break when she dropped off their shared car and left with Vonda Smith and her 2 sons in Vonda's white Sunfire. Ely was presumed to be the father of Jessie's unborn child. This search for answers left investigators down a path no one expected. As they pieced together the evidence, one name stood out: Vonda Smith, a grandmother from Greene County. The news spread quickly, leaving the community in shock. How could someone known for caring for others be accused of such a horrible crime? Whispers of disbelief filled the town. Neighbors struggled to accept that someone they trusted could be behind such a brutal act. Yet, the evidence pointed directly to Vonda. However, Vonda refused to accept the blame. She insisted she was innocent, claiming the truth had been twisted against her. The courtroom became a battleground, a place where grief, anger, and determination collided. On one side stood the prosecutors, fighting for justice for Jessie and her unborn child. On the other hand, Vonda and her defense team are determined to prove her innocence. Law enforcement worked day and night to uncover the truth. Clue by clue, their investigation led to one person, Vonda Smith. The shocking discovery left everyone in disbelief. Vonda, a grandmother from Greene County, was charged with the murder of Jessie Nicole Morrison and her unborn child. As the trial began, the courtroom was filled with tension. Jessie's family sat with heavy hearts, hoping for justice. However, Vonda was smiling and hugging her son.
Issued an opinion affirming the judgments of the trial court against Smith.
The prosecution prevented the evidence, painting a clear picture of what had happened. Meanwhile, Vonda's defense fought back, but the truth was undeniable. Finally, on May 25, 2018, the jury delivered their verdict, guilty on both charges. The courtroom fell silent as the judge announced Vonda's punishment, life in prison for Jessie's murder, and an additional 25 years for the death of Jessie's unborn child. The news brought a bittersweet feeling. Justice had been served, but it could never bring Jessie back. Her family felt the weight of their loss, knowing they would never see her bright smile again.
She is very relieved that the charges has finally come down and that his arrest has been made, and hoping that in the future that justice will be done.
Though the trial ended, Jessie's memory remained alive in the hearts of those who loved her. Her story became a reminder that every life matters and justice will always have its day. Even after her sentencing, the conflict continued. Smith appealed the ruling, claiming the evidence was insufficient and that her rights had been violated during the trial. She argued that the court failed to provide information about a cell phone signal and made errors during the trial. However, on February 24, 2021, the Court of Criminal Appeals at Knoxville upheld the original ruling. Smith's appeal was denied, and her life sentence remained in place. And as the verdict was read, tears started to shed on her face.
Vonda Smith was found guilty in the death of 21-year-old Jessie Morrison, who was pregnant at the time.
The community felt a mixture of sorrow and relief. Jessie and her unborn child were gone far too soon, but justice had been served. This case reminds us of the pain caused by violent crimes and the importance of holding those responsible accountable. Jessie's story will never be forgotten, and her memory will live on in the hearts of those who loved her.
Her kids were alive, and she lost her life for her kids.
Justice was served for Jessie and her unborn child. And in our next case, another act of deception led to a horrifying kidnapping and murder that shook an entire nation.
This is the house.
Yep.
This is the porch. This is the driveway.
Okay.
There's a tree line. The driveway is about this wide.
Okay.
We pulled in. This is the house. This would be the back of the house.
Okay.
So this is the porch right here. There's a house part right here.
On a summer night in 2016, an 18-year-old college baseball player, Colton Thomas Shearer, was spending his break at home in Middleburg, Florida. He had a bright future ahead of him, but everything changed when a robbery turned deadly, ending his life in a moment of violence. Colton had been lured to a house on County Road 16A by someone he thought was a friend, Alexandra Grace Schreffler. Unbeknownst to him, she had been approached by three men, Jordan Coleman, Taureen Johnson, and Ozell McNabb Jr., who wanted to find someone to rob. Schreffler chose Colton from her Facebook friends. As the police searched for answers, the heartbreaking truth came to light. Colton had been betrayed by someone he trusted. What started as a meeting between friends quickly turned into a nightmare. The night of the robbery, chaos erupted inside the house. Gunshots echoed through the air, and Colton was critically wounded. His friend, David Cody Levo, was also hurt but managed to escape with another friend, Tyler Bashers. Desperately, they rushed to a nearby gas station for help, but it was too late. Colton's life had already slipped away. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered more crimes linked to the suspects. Coleman, Johnson, and McNabb had also broken into a sheriff's deputy's patrol car, stealing weapons that would cause even more harm. But the law caught up with them. All four were arrested and their plans of greed and violence came to an end. The loss of Colton was devastating, but justice was served for his family. His mother said in court, I hold you the most responsible for Colton's death. Had it not been for your senseless actions of luring him there that night.
I hold you the most responsible for Colton's death. Had it not been for your senseless actions of luring him there that night.
His story remains a reminder of how precious and fragile life truly is. Justice came slowly, but surely. Schreffler, initially charged with murder and armed robbery, struck a deal. She pleaded guilty to armed robbery and agreed to testify against the others. She received 15 years in prison. Coleman, Johnson, and McNabb faced harsher punishments, with sentences ranging from 25 to 30 years behind bars. However, she showed no remorse.
Schreffler pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of armed robbery and agreed to testify against her co-defendants.
Colton Shearer had dreams, talent, and a life ahead of him, but a senseless act of greed took it all away. His family and friends were left to mourn his loss, knowing his bright future had been stolen. Justice was served, but no sentence could bring peace to Colton's family. His story is a heartbreaking reminder that betrayal can come from the most unexpected places. The next case shows how a ruthless car crash takes an innocent life.
He was amazing, smart, intelligent, helpful. He's an amazing young man.
On October 31st, 2018, in Las Vegas, Nevada, a family's life changed forever. A high-speed DUI crash ended the life of 8-year-old Levi Ekshanique and left his parents with severe injuries. The driver responsible for the crash was 25-year-old Aylin Alderette. This heartbreaking case shook the community and became a reminder of the deadly consequences of driving under the influence. Aylin Alderette was driving at 103 miles per hour when she crashed into the Ekshanique family's car at an intersection. Investigators determined that she had been under the influence of alcohol and drugs at the time of the crash. Dashcam and surveillance footage from nearby businesses captured the devastating moment, showing how the impact caused the family's vehicle to spin out of control before coming to a violent stop. Emergency responders arrived at the scene within minutes, but the damage had already been done. Levi was pronounced dead at the hospital, while his parents, Jose and Bridget, suffered life-threatening injuries. The impact was devastating. Levi's brother Joey shared how deeply the loss affected him, saying, "Every time I think about it, I just can't control myself. What she did was not right." The Ekshanique family and their loved ones wore shirts with the words "Justice for Levi, for the love of Levi," as they stood together in the courtroom seeking justice. During the sentencing, Levi's family shared their pain and heartbreak. His mother, Bridget, spoke about her unimaginable loss. She recalled waking up from her injuries, believing her sons were safe at school, only to learn that Levi was gone. She said, "My son was 8 and will never age another day." His father, Jose, expressed his sadness, saying, "She stole my baby boy that I will never see again. Her family can still visit her. My baby boy was 8.
Unfortunately, it was my vehicle that she hit. She stole my baby boy that I can never see again."
Alderette sobbed through the hearing, apologizing to the family. She said, "I'm so sorry for the family I hurt. I wish I could return to that horrific day and change everything." Her defense attorney shared that she had faced a difficult life, suffering from mental illness and trauma, but the prosecutor argued that her actions still required accountability. The judge sentenced Aylin Alderette to 26 to 65 years in prison, the maximum sentence for a second-degree murder and 2 counts of DUI causing substantial bodily harm. She was also ordered to pay the family $467,000 in restitution. At the time of sentencing, she breaks down in court after hearing her sentence.
Levi was killed after Aylin Alderette drove with 4 times the legal limit of marijuana in her system and smashed into the Ekshanique's car.
Levi's older brother Joey said that giving her the maximum sentence was the best birthday present my brother could get. Levi would have turned 9 years old just days after the sentencing.
Every time I think about it, I just can't control myself. What she did was not right at all. Like my mom said, the best birthday present that my brother could get.
This case reminds us of how one reckless decision can cause irreversible pain. Levi's family will forever carry the heartbreak of losing their beloved son and brother. Although the sentence cannot bring Levi back, his family found some peace knowing that justice was served. The tragedy stands as a powerful reminder to never drive under the influence and to always consider the safety of others.
Levi's parents say the outpouring of support from the community is a testament to the kind of kid Levi was.
Levi's loss is a stark reminder of how one thoughtless action can destroy lives. However, in the next case, the victim survived the attack. But the physical and emotional scars will never fully heal.
Did you ever tell Jessica that you were pregnant?
Yes, sir. My sister was on top of me, covering my mouth, trying to choke me.
On October 6, 2013, a shocking act of violence shattered a family in Hinebaugh when Jessie Hinebaugh and her boyfriend Michael Ayala betrayed someone they should have protected, Jessica's sister, Casey Ann Jones. Casey, who was 2 months pregnant, endured a terrifying attack at the hands of the very people she should have been able to trust the most. The brutal betrayal by her sister and Ayala turned what should have been a bond of love and protection into a horrifying ordeal that would leave lasting scars. That day, Jessica and Michael choked and stabbed Casey, leaving her with serious injuries. However, the physical pain was only part of her suffering. Her greatest fear was for her unborn baby's life. The police launched an immediate investigation, gathering evidence from the crime scene, which included blood-stained items and a kitchen knife identified as the weapon used in the attack. Investigators also obtained surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera, which captured Michael Ayala arriving and leaving the scene. During police interviews, Casey provided a harrowing account of the attack, describing how Jessica and Michael showed no mercy. Medical reports confirmed multiple stab wounds and bruising consistent with strangulation, supporting Casey's testimony. Authorities charged Jessica Hinebaugh and Michael Ayala with attempted murder, citing clear intent to kill. Prosecutors argued that the brutality of the attack, along with Casey's vulnerable state due to her pregnancy, proved premeditation. The case went to trial, and Jessica did not deny what she had done. She laughs at the time of trial. Her public defender, Darcia Forrester, shared that Jessica had fully accepted her guilt and the punishment that awaited her. She knew there would be no escaping the consequences of her actions, but for Casey, the wounds ran deeper than what anyone could see. The attack stole her peace and happiness during a time that should have been filled with joy and excitement, dreaming about her baby's future. No matter what happened in court, Casey's life would never be the same. During the sentencing, a powerful letter from Casey Ann Jones was read aloud in court. In her heartfelt words, she shared how the attack forever changed her life. It didn't just leave her with physical scars, it stole her peace, her trust, and the joy she had felt about becoming a mother. Casey wrote about how instead of celebrating her pregnancy, she spent her days in fear. She no longer felt safe in her own home. Simple things like locking doors or making sure every knife was in place became part of her daily routine as she tried to protect herself and her unborn child. Through her letter, Casey made it clear that the damage went beyond her injuries. It was something she carried in her heart every day. She wanted the court to know that the actions of Jessica and Michael had taken far more from her than anyone could see.
How did this talk make you feel?
Horrified. I was being attacked by someone I loved and trusted.
She wrote that her daughter suffered the most, growing up in the shadow of an unimaginable crime. She would never meet the people who had caused so much pain, but their actions had forever changed her life. Casey begged the court to ensure that Jessica and Michael never had the chance to harm anyone else again. On Tuesday, Jessica Hinebaugh was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. However, she had no shame for her act. Michael Ayala's sentencing would follow later. For Casey, justice had been served, but the scars of that night would never fully fade. The tragic stories in these cases reminds us of the irreversible pain caused by betrayal, violence, and reckless decisions. Their courtroom moments reveal the deep scars left behind and highlight the consequences of unimaginable crimes. In our next video on screen, we'll take you deeper into more shocking stories and the sentences that left the world speechless.